Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Rafael Pinero, your mayor from South Palm Beach. I have the privilege of be here today with Daniel Zapata. He is a candidate for the school board. Many of you have asked me about this race. The intent of this discussion is to really get to know Daniel and to ensure that you have all the information you need as you make a decision to reach the polls. As a matter of fact, some of the ballots have already been sent to many people. So, Daniel, good afternoon.
Good
Welcome to
afternoon.
virtual town of South Palm Beach. And let me start by asking you, man. What actually drove you to run? What is your trajectory that got you from to got you to wanting to service the public in this capacity?
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you for having me. Thank you for putting this together so that people can be informed about who is on their ballot in August, because we're coming up on the election very quickly. But yeah, so I am currently, still to this day, a high school teacher, and I never really meant to get into education. I never meant to become a teacher. If you asked most of my teachers from high school, they probably would have laughed at you if you told them I became a teacher. But I started off as a sub, and I quickly just fell in love with what I do. Right. I've been a sub. I've been in administration. I've been an assistant athletic director, an assistant administrator. Still to this day, teaching high school government, Spanish, and economics. So for me, this has been my passion. This is what I love to do. And even if at the end of the day, the voters decide not to send me to the school board, I will still continue being in education. I didn't just come to this just to run, right? And I really came to run because of this is really where I came from. Because for me, the politicization of our board and the way we've been going recently just doesn't sit well with me. If when someone is trying to run to just make a name for themselves or find another political position to be in, that to me is doesn't sit well, because at the end of the day, what that does is that causes someone to vote their career on the board rather than vote for students on the board. And that'll be my number one priority, is ensuring that our kids have what they need to succeed, be it in our schools and in life, and making sure that we're doing the best we can for them.
Yeah, I mean, sounds like a very lofty goal, right? Um, I know that when I talk to people, in particular with all of these discussions about taxes, one of the concerns everybody has is about the wise use of our tax dollars. Uh, Tell me a little bit about what you view as the key priorities for the school board.
Absolutely. My four biggest things that I'm running on. First is that we have a literacy problem here in Palm Beach County. In my district, District 4, about 37% of kids can read at grade level. th- that means the vast majority are not reading at grade level and they're still moving through. So I want to address them early, make sure we can get a hold of them before that third grade benchmark, where traditionally if we don't have them by third grade and they're not reading at level, they're traditionally not going to catch up. So we need to get them early, make sure that we're doing what we can to ensure that they're reading at grade level. Second is we need to recruit and retain the best teachers possible. We have a shortage right now of teachers in our district, which directly is causing the fact that if we don't have someone in the classroom who's prepared and ready to teach the subject area that they're supposed to be teaching, these kids are not going to be teaching. And that also comes into the fact of, if a kid has two, three teachers throughout a year, they don't get to settle in and actually build that connection with the teacher that's so important for them to be able to absorb what is being taught to them. So that's another aspect of what we need to do. The third one is we need to ensure the safety of all of our kids. So we need to ensure the safety for our kids. We need to ensure the peace of mind for every parent in Palm Beach County that when they leave their kids, nothing is going to happen, right? And when we say safety, I don't just mean metal detectors and clear backpack like that. That's what people think of, but the reality is we need to address bullying. We need to address cyber bullying. We need to address mental health issues because all of this leads to and is part of the security of every student. Because when a kid is anxious, worried about is someone going to say something to them, is something going to happen to them at school, they're not going to learn. And finally, it's going back to what you were just talking about is we have this massive budget and we're not getting the results we want, right? So even when we're talking about those other three things, I'm not saying, oh, let's spend more money to address the VPK issue or address the security issue or address the teacher retention and recruitment. I'm saying let's move money around that we already have. We have almost $6 billion in the budget every year. There's some money that we can move around there. So that's a huge aspect that I want to address, making sure that we're spending every dollar properly and we're actually getting return on investment on everything we do.
So I hear you loud and clear. Let me ask you, I mean, we are really a small residential community. A great majority is really over 55 years old. Let me ask you point blank. I mean, why should we care, right?
Absolutely. And that's really a sentiment you get a lot with people who will tell me I don't have kids in school. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me because my kids are already graduating or whatever it is. But the reality is there's a huge debate going on with property taxes right now, which we've already talked about and acknowledged. Even if the amendment passes that's on the ballot in November, that does not change the funding of the school board, which is almost half of your tax bill every year or every pay period. So when you're paying your taxes, almost half of that is still going to stay around. So we still need to discuss how we're spending that money and make sure we're spending it correctly. That's one. Number two, the schools directly impact the value of your property, right? So being in a better school zone and making sure that the zone that your property is zoned for, if we can raise that up, so comes your property value. So people are now being able to sell their property for a higher value if they so choose. So those are just two benefits that even if you don't have kids in school, those are two benefits to you as a resident in this county. When our schools are good, everything else follows suit.
That's that's a good answer. It really impacts us all, and I didn't mean to be rude in the manner I asked the question,
No.
but it is what crosses people's mind, and I want to make sure that we have a clear answer from you. So let me see if you mentioned literacy, right?
Absolutely.
You mentioned third grade. You mentioned the salaries of the of the teachers. Let me ask you, how do your views contrast to what other candidates may be claiming? Is everybody claiming the same ground and saying I'm going to do it differently, or are there unique? Is your value is your proposition different than your competitors or your contenders?
Absolutely. And it's very easy for anyone running for school board to say exactly what I just said. We're going to raise literacy rates. We're going to pay our teachers more. We're going to make sure our schools are safe. That's an easy talking point for any candidate. The difference is I live this every day. I'm in the classroom every day. I've had to sit through an active shooter situation or active shooter drill or a lockdown situation where I've had to be in a classroom locked down with my students for over an hour. I've been in these situations, so I know firsthand what it is to address these. And that's why if you look at who's supporting me, the Palm Beach County police union, the PBA, has backed me because they know that I have the experience in this and know that what it takes to secure our schools and make sure that they are strong. So I believe that the biggest differentiator between myself and those that are also running in this race is my experience. The fact that I've been in the classroom, the fact that I have worked in administration, so I know both sides of the school and I know what it takes to ensure that the school is running well, that it is running efficiently, that we are doing what the students need from day one, not having to sit down and be debriefed and told, well, this is how we teach this and this is how we go about this. This is something I know and I can start addressing on day one. So that's, I believe, the biggest differentiator between myself and my opponents.
Thanks. Thank you. And for those like me, I really have been unfamiliar with the structure of the board and how many members and how often the election takes place. Can you explain it to us so we can have a better understanding?
Absolutely. So, kind of similar in the sense of a town council. We are a 7-member board, all elected at different times for a 4-year term, with a max of 8 years. So, you can get 2 terms. Now, the model that we follow is very similar to the city council, city manager model, right? But we have the school board and the superintendent. So, we hire and fire only 3 people. That is the school superintendent, the attorney, the general attorney, and the inspector general. Those were the only 3 people that the board directly hires and fires. Now, the day-to-day operations of everything fall under the superintendent. So the big part for what we need to do is make sure we're overseeing the superintendent and making sure that we are getting the results we want from them. Right. And that will be a big conversation that comes up during my term on the board because our superintendent is only 2 years out from his retirement. So that will be a conversation that will have to come up during my time on that board.
Thank you. And how many positions are open for this election?
So this election cycle, there were 4 seats up for election. 2 of them, the incumbents won unopposed. And then the other 2 are contested, District 4 and District 6. District 6 has 3 people running in it. That's out west. That's Wellington, Royal Palm, out to the Glades. And then District 4 is our district, which runs from downtown West Palm Beach all the way down to Delray Beach. And it's everything basically east of military on the southern side of it. So the dynamic won't shift too much because it will really only be 2 new members joining the board. But yeah, so it was 4, only 2 contested.
Okay, very, very good. So before we wrap up, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time on this Friday. I
Thank
very
you.
much appreciate it. I've learned quite a bit about this race. If you want to just give a quick call to action for the listeners, and then we can say adios.
Absolutely. So again, I'm running. The election is August 18th. Mail-in ballots have already started going out. If someone wants to request a mail-in ballot, the deadline is August 6th. Early voting will begin on August 8th and run until August 16th. So there'll be 1 week of early voting where you can vote anywhere in the county, and that'll be available on the Supervisor of Elections website. Also on the Supervisor of Elections website is to request your vote by mail ballot and to figure out where your precinct is. So make sure that you know that information before election day comes and you end up at a different precinct than you really should be. But I'm running to be, which I haven't mentioned, I would be probably the only teacher on our school board. We are the 10th largest district in the country, and we wouldn't have the perspective and the experience of a teacher on our board. So that is why I'm humbly asking for your vote, for your support, so that we can work together for our school. So remember, it's August 18th is election day. Early voting starts August 8th, and the last day to request your vote by mail ballot is August 6th.
Daniel, Thank you very much. I hope that all of my friends and followers find this conversation helpful and the best of luck on your race. I'll be talking
Thank
to
you
you
so
later.
much. Thank you so much.